Oh, we've all done it. We've opened up to someone, shared vulnerably, trusted them, and then later realized it was a huge mistake. It was mishandled, it was dismissed, it was weaponized or used against us. And brain science shows us that emotional pain activates many parts of the same brain regions as physical pain. That's why betrayal can feel so impactful and hurt so much. This episode is about not quick fixes, but it's about critical thinking. I'm not telling you what to do. I want you to raise your awareness around your patterns, your self-awareness, and listening to yourself at a whole new level. Some red flags are obvious. Lying, manipulation, repeated betrayal, name-calling, active addiction. You cannot be in a vulnerable relationship with someone who's actively using and in addiction mode. Some red flags, though, are a little more subtle. Inconsistency, unreliability, someone whose words don't match their actions. And sometimes those folks that have you leave you with feeling emotionally confused and emotionally unsafe, right? And sometimes we ignore those patterns because we want the relationship to work. And that's where all the trauma bonding comes in. Trauma bonds are unhealthy emotional attachments rooted in inconsistency, emotional highs and lows, and unresolved pain. Here's an example. Someone repeatedly hurts you, dismisses you, or betrays you, but occasionally they're loving. Occasionally they're attentive or apologetic or emotionally intense with you. And what happens is your nervous system gets attached to this wonky cycle because it's wonky. And our brain science shows us that infatuation, validation, attention, and emotional intensity can temporarily override our critical thinking. So then we're off, right? We move too fast. We overshare too quickly. I have so done that many times in my life. We ignore what our intuition is telling us. And sometimes the people who love us see the red flags before we do. Pay attention to that. The people we love dearly, our dearest friends, they sometimes see stuff that we can't see in our own critical thinking. Here's another thing to think about. Sometimes we become so desperate to make something work, we really want it to work, that we slowly abandon ourselves in the process. That's the real tragedy, is when we abandon ourselves. That's when we question our instincts, minimize what's really hurting ourselves, talking ourselves out of something that we clearly feel. That disconnects us from our own reality. So one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves is this: what feels emotionally safe and authentic for me right now? What feels good right now? What feels emotionally safe and authentic? Not what I hope, not what could one day, maybe day be the case. What is consistently true right now? And this is where the boundaries matter. Here's a couple of options for you. These are the Post-it note options for what you can say instead. So instead of saying, I guess it's fine, try, that actually doesn't feel good to me. Here's another one. I don't want to upset them. Say this instead. I need to honor what I'm feeling here. Instead of, maybe I'm overreacting. My feelings deserve attention right now. My feelings deserve attention too. We repeat what we do not heal. And I call this Post-it note moments because when you put it on a Post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror, you see it and it brings it to the prefrontal cortex of your brain. You want that to happen to raise your awareness. 95% of what we do is unconscious. It really is. It's habitual. So we want to pay attention to repetitive patterns. One last thought. Sometimes betrayal is not only about what the other person did, and I alluded to this. It's about those moments that we abandon ourselves. We abandon our own intuition. The red flags were there. They were. The discomfort was there. We felt it, but we hoped and we minimized. Awareness changes these patterns. And healthy vulnerability requires accountability, repair, and emotional safety. I'm cheering you on. Mwah! See you soon.